Maybe just another support to pick up, perhaps.
Yeah, I think you can just tie in with your Phoenix at this point, build up. They go with the Enchantress, so they're piling on the heal. They're piling on the early disruptiveness they can get done. Again, we've seen Enchantresses camp out the jungle triangle with the enchanted creep, prevent stacks from coming through, cut off the supports from getting that action going. And that is one way to kind of slow down, impact that Medusa's farm early on. Motivate.Trust has to be a bit cautious now. They need to be willing to fight and fight back for the jungle, as that's something that Jackie will need to play into no matter what. Like, it's just the nature of Dusa. Even if you get the perfect laning start, you will need to dip into the jungle. You will need stacks, and Enchantress ensures you're always aware of where those stacks are and where you can kind of steal some stacks away as well.
Yeah. Motivate now, they're going to have a pretty deep think about it, but they're going to go straight into the AA, and I think there is a lot of value in this Ancient Apparition this game. Like, you're against the Phoenix, you're against an Enchantress, you're against an Axe. All these heroes really don't enjoy the Ice Blast. Even the TB doesn't so much enjoy it, but Fnatic still go for it because it is a Raven TB. And I've always said about Raven, this is probably, arguably, his best hero that he could pick up. The Terrorblade, he's very strong on this hero, and it does become very scary trying to fight into this.
Yeah, it's just such a great hero to have as well right now. You have great spikes with Metamorphosis. Even down the line, you just get a refresh, you get the Ags. You don't have as much downtime to the power spikes with Terrorblade. It doesn't take as much farm as Sedusa to be up and running, and it's just provides a lot of push, has a lot of early presence as well. So you have a lot running here for Fnatic. They can play a lot more aggressive. They don't necessarily need to sit back and farm in Terrorblade as long as the Dusa does. Like, you can play quicker. Motivate.Trust do go with the Zeus, as we've seen as a counterpoint to the Terrorblade a couple of times now. You've got magic damage coming out here for Motivate.Trust. You can line up the Thunder God's Wrath along with the Ice Blast to kind of catch that Terrorblade out. That is one way to kind of punish this hero. He doesn't deal too well with magic damage early on until the BKB's up.
Final banouts now. Motivate. I think you're just focusing on the mid lane of Fnatic, just making sure they don't get some very comfort mid lane pick here. Get rid of the Batrider. Just anything that kind of dominates the Zeus, you don't really want to play against here. Or even get rid of the Ember. Doesn't seem like that bad of, say, a Lina game here for Chuan. I feel like the Lina, it feels like it could just do well in the mid lane. Maybe not quite dominate the Zeus, but, you know, it's one of those heroes could just stand from a massive range, secure CS, maybe get a bit of harassment out onto the Zeus. Never hurts to have a bit of a stun going for Fnatic, because right now they literally have 0 stuns, apart from the Phoenix Egg and maybe the call from Axe. See, though, last pickup for Motivate, they are lacking a position 4 or 5, but more than likely the 4.
I think you want something to play with your Mars here. A solid piece of control could play nice. They don't have the option for the Nyx or Lion. That's a bit awkward. Not many options left. Maybe even a Baron is banned out. Like, they really just target the true what Motivate.Trust likes to run with that Mars in the offlane. They're gonna have to pull something a bit strange out. Perhaps a Rubik. Not the best spells to steal, but you have the lift into spear combo to play with for Motivate.Trust on their side. If you want to go that route, it hasn't been amazing when we've seen Rubik, but they go with the Earth Spirit instead. Your favorite hero coming out as a last pick, Motivate.Trust, treating us. We'll see if they can get that early presence out with Mars Earth Spirit. Like, there is potential to roll onto the Terrorblade, damage him down, especially when a Metamorphosis is down. There's a lot of damage output on the offlane of Motivate.Trust, and it's really going to be down to Masaros and to Q to really get that going there. They can't allow the Terrorblade to farm up all too much. Fnatic, they do close out with the Void Spirit. They've got a really strong mid matchup. I don't think the Zeus is going to be too threatened as long as you sidestep those remnants coming out. You should still be able to hold that lane. At the same time, the level 6 spike of Chuan is a bit scarier.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he can Astral Step in, he can Resonant Pulse, he can get the chain control. If you get a nice rotation out from DJ or Jabs, that's going to be an easy kill on Fearless. Zeus just doesn't hold well against that kind of rotation. At the same time, You could have Q rotate on the Earth Spirit as well. There's a lot of control coming in. If they can leave Masaros alone, they could look to bully out Chuan instead.
Okay, fair enough. I'll ask you the hard question, John. I mean, Fnatic, Motivate.Trust, first game. We haven't seen these two teams fight each other in quite a long time. But who came out with the better draft? Which one inspires a bit more confidence in you going into this matchup?
I'd say Fnatic has a pretty solid set of conditions to play with. There is that lack of stuns you talked about, but they have the the remnant at least coming out from Chuan to help them hold. They need to execute their team fights cleaner. I think with Raven's Terrorblade, you have some big win conditions here along with Death's Axe. For Motivate.Trust, it's about playing as 4. We need to see Masaros and Fearless ready to go by the 10 to 12 minute mark. You don't want to sit back and farm too long. We need to see the supports of Motivate.Trust be a lot more active, and that's easier said than done. I think Fnatic can play the slower game, just check the jungle, prevent Jackie from farming. If you manage to do that, your Terrorblade has a really good time. And once the Terrorblade has, SNY Dragonlance, you can join in the fights a lot earlier than Jackie can. So I think that it's that early spike on these pause ones that gives Fnatic a better edge here.
All right, thank you for that, John. We'll move into the game 1 very, very soon. I'm very excited because these series that are coming up just get more and more exciting for today. A pretty packed day, in fact. I believe next series we have coming up as well is going to be Motivate versus T1. So Motivate's kind of getting the very hard matchups to get their whole tournament started. And then, of course, you've got GXR and AG to end the night. So another exciting matchup after this one. We'll head into game 1, though, of this series and see how it does all pan out. I'll tell you, John, that Raven Terrorblade, one of the things I really enjoy watching from this man. I mean, he does perform extremely well on this Terrorblade. Oh, Jabs, he gives a shout out, John. My Pro Dota 10. There you are, Jabs. Happy birthday, My Pro Dota 10. Thank you for that, boys. We forgot about My Pro Dota.
Oh, yeah. We never respect MY Gang. Always respect MY Gang. Never forget them. So, no. Yeah, great shoutouts. I missed the shoutouts coming out there. Of course, Motivate.Trust and Fnatic, they've got history. We've seen them do this a lot since the past year. Good to see that the camaraderie is still there, but it's business. It's Dota. You got to look for that win. You can't all be friends here. Someone's got to lose.
Absolutely. There's no friends in war, John. They've already gotten started with the voice lines. Again, this is probably arguably the most exciting matchup tonight. Maybe the next one, Motivate versus T1, also pretty darn spicy. A lot of history between all 3 of the teams. In fact, if you remember back maybe 3 months ago, a lot of things happened for Masaros and for Jackie. Always good to see these two teams go at it. Of course, no bad blood though. We've talked to both the players and they're more than happy with the way things worked out. As Motivate, they're going to try and go in now. Masaros immediately getting a tip there from Raven. Nice little sticker there as well. Not sure what it says, but it does look very cute. Yeah, very kawaii.
That's very weeby of you to admit, Mike. But yeah, you know, no big shenanigans here. 2 for 2 in the bounties. Do see the bot lane split up. Masaros and Q taking that off lane together. Again, there is potential for aggressiveness here if they land a good roll into Spear. Maybe once you have level 2 up with a God's Rebuke or level 2 up with a Spear, as we tend to see God's Rebuke prioritized, you can kind of play around there. Raven does go for the level 1 Reflection, so he wants to just be able to zone out these 2 melee heroes, and this is where it's slightly annoying. You've got the range advantage with DJ. Raven, once he has the Metamorphosis up, can look to apply some superior harassment out as well, and that should mean it's going to be a bit of a slower start for Motivate.Trust. Raven shouldn't have too many issues clearing out the first wave or 2, and once he gets that level 2, you have the threat of Metamorphosis, so you have to be slightly cautious on Motivate.Trust. Just be patient, wait for your level 2 and 3. That's when you can kind of start to look for trades. But I like that DJ went for that level 1 impetus. He knows he's against a dual melee. He knows he can get good damage off. They can't really stop this Enchantress from getting those hits off.
Yeah, absolutely. And plus, you can't really abuse the enchant this early anyway, right? Like with a Terrorblade, he's going to have the meta now, so maybe you can if they're out of position. But more than likely, the impetus is just going to give you much more value this early on. Of course, we should have a look at the other lanes as well. Mid lane, Chuan is going to be there against Fearless. It does feel like Fearless should have the advantage in this hero matchup. But Chuan on the Void Spirit, again, he's been playing very well recently, and it's good to see him back in the mid lane, I might add. It's been a while, but you love to see it.
Yeah, he's just performing to a really high standard. The matchup itself, as you mentioned, the Zeus should have a good time just playing with the Arc Lightning spam and kind of chipping away with his passive, just slowly whittling down on Chuan's HP. Chuan, he can't really get those aggressive plays we look for with the Resonant Pulse and the Remnant as much here. Like, he has to be pretty withdrawn. You need to be able to secure those water runes as well. Very important to sustain yourself against that Zeus, and should have an easy access to the first one. So no congestion coming out here from Fearless for now, but that also leads to Fearless just getting a free refill, and that's just more mana spam. So it's that usual mid reset by the 2-minute mark. Everyone just gets a bottle, everyone just gets a rune, and just leads to more farm coming out.
Yeah, it's certainly good news here. Top lane, of course, we do have Death and Jabs, along with Jackie and Set Zero. Is Set Zero a player we know, John? Could this be Boonbill by any chance? I'm not 100% sure. I guess we'll call him Set Zero for now. Just not 100% sure who this actually is, unless it is a person named Set Zero.
I think it is Set Zero, like
Okay.
Set Zero, Set Zero.
Right.
I think Boombill might be standing out. I do remember the name, I just can't pin it, but it's a solid lane here for Set Zero in the AA with Jackie on the Medusa. You are seeing Jackie lag behind a bit. That's able to sort of apply that pressure. Both cores not farming as much, so not getting as much space compared to the bot lane here, which will hurt Jackie. Like, you don't want to get off to a slow start in Medusa. You want to be able to get your Agi items up, or, you know, if you feel the need, the Mask of Madness up for the flash farm. Set Zero is just, it's not an amazing lane for AA. Like, you can play with the slows with the Mystic Snake, but it's not a very aggressive lane. It's a much more passive lane. You have to respect the battle hunger coming out from Death. You have to respect the DPS coming out from the Phoenix, especially as levels scale on. So as long as Death doesn't cop too many hits and just plays around with his regen, it'd be perfectly fine to just keep his farm game up.
Oh, bot lane is where the first blood occurs. DJ, he's the one to drop. So at Motivate.Trust, they draw first blood at this bot lane. And you've got to be careful as the Enchantress as well, because you talked about it into the drafting phase, but this Earth Spirit Mars, it does have a lot of kill potential. A lot of magic damage in this laning phase, and if you do get caught by a roll from Q, it could be a very swift death.
Yeah, it's that aggression. It's that level spike here for Motivate.Trust. They're at level 3 now in Q, so he's got his spells ready, he's got the damage ready, and they can just line up the spear, line up the God's Rebuke afterwards. It makes it a bit trickier for you to kind of zone them out. You are reaching the point as well where Masaros is getting a little bit more last hits there, 27-3 compared to the 22-1 on Raven. So you are finding some room now to really slowly build up. And this is where perhaps the early weakness of Terrorblade is highlighted. You know, dependence on Metamorphosis for the harassment, for the safe CS, can kind of hold you back. It's a lot of downtime for the TV. Masaros can just abuse that every time he sees that commitment.
Yeah.
Dire's top tower.
Yeah, I love the fact that every time we do a Pro Series, somehow my Pro Dota comes up. Every time. It's like Pro Series can't happen if there's not a reference to my Pro Dota being made in at least one of the games. Every time, without a doubt.
Oh yeah, it is tradition. I think that really kicked off with, I want to say, Among Us. Not the game, the team Among Us.
It was
Kuku's
Savage.
old stack.
Yeah.
The Savage out there with Whitemon as well. You really
Right.
love that. And Kuku would join in for fun.
Yeah.
You know, so it was all that. That's a throwback. That's like what? Pro Series 3? Man, almost a year.
Oh, it was good times. Good times. DJ making that nice rotation. Fearless, he's gonna get jumped here, and they've got the stun, they've got the kill. That's what you want to see from Fnatic. A really nice rotation made by both supports into the mid lane, and Chuan able to secure the kill on the Void Spirit, and they have the siege creep up, so they can definitely get some tier 1 tower damage going.
Dire's structures.
It's like we are going to have another enchanted creep coming in, and DJ, he does get lucky. He got the Dark Troll Summoner. You can get those skeletons up as well to get that added damage. And Jabs, he's tanking the tier 1 tower hits to make sure the siege creep doesn't die, but Fearless, he gets revenge. He gets the Thunder God's Wrath off. Jabs, he took too much damage. And eventually Set Zero is going to rotate as well to try and push out this lane. But that siege creep is still going. Already 1/3 of the tier 1 mid tower HP gone. And it's only getting worse. Meanwhile, towards the south Q, he tried to rotate, but there is going to be punishment immediately. Raven now taking his first kill of the game on the Terrorblade.
Yeah, just a big set of wins coming out
Radiant's
from
middle tower is
Fnatic.
under
Motivate.Trust, it's that spike for Chuan. It's level 6 Void Spirit versus Zeus, and the Void Spirit gets to play more aggressively. Sure, you have Thunder God's Rat. That's really just used for kill securing or enabling side lane ganks. In terms of actually applying presence on lane, it doesn't do much. You have to watch for those rotations. DJ and Jabs getting that done mid. The tower damage was great as well. And we're at the point where Raven could have been left alone. Masaros wasn't really able to abuse the Terrorblade in that downtime where the supports were missing. And that just leads to much more value coming out for Fnatic. Motivate.Trust do have good stacks in the jungle. They have managed to build up there, so they should still get some catch-up farm going. Jackie's getting to work, and it's not really been scouted out by Fnatic. They have kept the triangle in good check, but this is still good farm for Jackie coming out here.
Yeah. That's the thing as well, right? Like, it seems like DJ in particular has been really keeping tabs on that triangle. And I think Motivate.Trust was just good game sense to make sure they don't actually stack the triangle, but rather go for the left side jungle. Because you know as a +5 Enchantress, they're always going to rotate to just check if stacks are being made. And you never want to give them away to the Axe, who can just rotate over. So they get the left side jungle instead. You can stack the triangle later. And this will allow Jackie to make sure he does soak up all this farm before Death can invade the jungle and start being a real nuisance by taking the stacks. Which he can do right now with this Vanguard. But he's got to get that top tier 1 and the mid tier 1 tower down first. Whereas it does feel like if it was in the triangle, they could just kind of sneak in.
Yeah, it's much more protected for Motivate.Trust side. That is getting a bit of a push going by himself. He's just constantly shoving in the creep wave. Not a quick process. You can see Motivate.Trust are sort of just circling around Jackie. At the very least, they have Q hanging around there to ensure that no sneaky smoke rotations come out. And that farm is piling on for Jackie. Still not the most farmed on the map, but he's not lagging behind either, which is, you know, considering that slower lane, it's probably one of the better situations here for Motivate.Trust.
Yeah, certainly so. Set 0 gonna get scattered by Jabs. The Aether Remnant, it's gonna land right in time for Chuan. On set 0, not gonna be happy about that. Chuan thought he was about to get started on the Ancient stack, but obviously he can't really do it as a Void Spirit, so he's just gonna put up a bit of a flashy mood with the Dissimulate and just back the hell out of there. Back to the fountain for him.
Yeah, this is where the difference in map control comes in for Fnatic and Motivate.Trust. Like you saw their triangle. They have more Ancient stacks. They have the large camp stacked up. They're still clearing out their bot jungle safely. Like that's where Raven's playing. It's not stacked as much, but he has bigger Ancient stacks to clear down the line, and that might lead to a better gold injection for Raven if it's not contested by the side of Motivate.Trust. Heck, even Det can grab it if he feels the need, although with a Vanguard up, it doesn't feel like he's going to need that added flash.
DJ, he gets the heal out immediately, but Masaros with the Thunder God's Wrath out as well is going to have more than enough damage. And Fearless will be the one to take the kill on the Zeus. Now Motivate.Trust, they've got to get started on this bottom tier 1 tower. And their top tier 1, it was taken down so darn quick. That bottom tier 1 really hasn't been touched whatsoever by Motivate. And they will need to get started eventually because Raven, he's right to farming in that jungle. And it's kind of a toss-up between the Medusa and the TB as to who farms faster. But you never really want to gamble when it comes to Raven TB.
No, you don't want him to have parity with you, simply because a Terrorblade at parity with a Medusa feels like the Terrorblade's stronger as long as Metamorphosis up. That added damage makes all the difference. He's safer from range. Maybe once Medusa has, say, Ags and Ag Shard, it feels a little bit more awkward, but again, that's a ton of farm, and the Ags itself isn't prioritized nowadays, so it just leads to that slower spike here for Motivate.
The Remnant.
They can catch someone now.
Yeah, they've got Q. He's going to try and run, but they've got the damage. Chuan with the killing spree now on that Void Spirit, 3-0-1. And you've got to give props to Chuan. Like, this is a very aggressive mid lane he's running, but he still managed to keep up level 9 now on that Void Spirit with 3 kills and 1 assist. He's actually 1 level ahead of Fearless, even though he's been the one rotating across the map.
Yeah, it's down to the fact that you can get much more successful rotations for Chuan and free up the map a bit more. Zeus is just a little bit more passive. You need some farm in the hero before you can help out. The main source of activity for Motivate.Trust is on Masaros, and even he's still stuck in the bot lane trying to clear the tower. So the big cores are kind of stuck in each respective lane, and that just leads to more openings for Fnatic to find those pickoffs. They're smoked up right now in that triangle area as well.
They are. Fearless immediately dived. Egg to be dropped. They're underneath the tier 2 tower. Glyphs is going to be popped, but it won't help out. Q, he's going to pop the Magnetize and try to fight, but can they do it? Jackie's TPing in. He's going to try and join, but the TP, it's taking way too long. They do at least get death. So they get something for their trouble, but they've lost their mid Zeus again, and on top of that, they've lost their Pulse for Earth Spirit. This Fearless Zeus, it doesn't seem like it's going to transition very well into that mid game at this rate.
It's falling way too far behind. It doesn't really have a jungle to play in. Bottom network core. The side of Motivate.Trust are going to try to smoke around. They still have that Arena and Masteros. He does not have the Yules or Blink to set up. He's going to have to just maybe settle with one hero to be picked up. Jackie's getting started in that mid tier 1. The TPs are there for the defense though.
Well, they found Jackie. Juan's there. Simulate. All the mana pool of Jackie's gone now, so they could commit all the way as Jackie. He doesn't have his team around. They got Raven, though. On the southern side of the map, they do get him in the jungle, and Jackie, he might drop a kick away. A silence there from Q. He's trying his hardest to save Jackie here on this Medusa, but they just can't do it. They will eventually get the kill. So it will be a 1-for-1 on the position ones of both teams. There's now Motivate. They're going to try and punish even further, but Death's in. A nice call. He got Zeus, but can they kill him? Fearless, he's still alive. Chuan's jumping in. They'll try to get the kill. Fearless, he's so done low, but he does get the EG before he does drop himself. Now Chuan, he's going to try and run himself out of here, but Masteros, he can't turn. So they got DJ on the Enchantress. It's still going to be a pretty even trade between these both these teams, but it does feel like Fnatic is coming out on top.
Oh yeah, they're still finding the favorable trades. Even after dropping your Terrorblade, you're applying pressure into Zeus. He's not really able to bounce back despite the kills he's finding. Still a net gain for Fearless, but you need much more into Zeus here. And you're seeing the shortcomings of that here if it does fall behind. Fnatic still have superior map control as well. You're not seeing Motivate.Trust line up for that mid-tier 1. I mean, Jackie went solo. Motivate.Trust, the rest of them were smoked up for the hunt, and you can't really leave the Dusa alone like that. It's just very vulnerable at this point in the game. You only have the Dragon Lance for the added stats. That's it. Very shaky position for the Medusa to be isolated. And Jackie now, he's just trying to find farm in the bot jungle area. The rest of his team looks to be rotating up top, trying to go for a hunt, but no one's up there anymore.
Certainly not. They might try to rotate into the triangle now, but that is also not currently occupied by Fnatic, who they've gone for a smoke themselves. Fnatic, they're going to go into the opposite triangle. Jackie's going to get the information, though, that they are all missing. And we'll realize that they're probably smoked up to boot. Now Death, he's got the blink up. Masteros right across this mid lane. Chuan also there. Fearless, that they want the Zeus first. They'll jump in immediately, and now the egg has been dropped. How do you take this fight? Motivate, the egg's down, nobody can focus it down, and now Masteros, he's been caught out trying to help. The arena's gonna end. Jackie joins in with the Stone Gaze, and that might be enough to force them back, but no Chuan. He wants to go for a bit more, but he doesn't have the step charges. Meanwhile, on the backside, they have caught out jabs. They'll take down the Phoenix. A set 0. He's going to be chased on the AA. Ice Blast does connect. Is it going to be enough though, Chuan? He does get the kill into set 0. Immediately he starts running away. Meanwhile, towards the south, Q trying to go after DJ, but now Death's caught him out. Gets the dunk off on the axe as well. And it's going to be another favorable team fight for the side of Fnatic.
Yeah, they get the targets they want. Yeah, Motivate.Trust just not getting the rotations they want out. Like, the movement of Fnatic's much easier to pull off. Again, it's just down to the execution. This lineup with the blink up and that, with the mobility they have from Chuan, they can jump these softer targets immediately. Isolate the Zeus, take away the supports, break off the counter initiation of Motivate.Trust. And for Motivate.Trust, the only saving grace is that Jackie's farming. He's got his Yasha up. He's still lagging behind Death on the axe, and he's barely ahead of the Terrorblade. So again, when all things hold equal between Medusa Terrorblade, Terrorblade feels a lot scarier. So you're still in a really good position for Fnatic. The fact that Death is allowed to free farm like that as well is pretty scary. You can itemize wildly on the axe. You already had a Vanguard earlier, has a blink up and running. Could go for the shard at the 20-minute mark. to have that scalability and to be a nuisance in the side lanes. Although down bot looks like they're going onto someone.
Yeah, they are. They've got jabs on the Phoenix. He is not going to be able to get out. Set Zero just barely getting the kill. Jabs doesn't seem to mind too much. He's okay with it. There's Chuan. Mid lane, that'll be a very nice kill if Masteros can somehow set up, but he is all alone. It's going to be a little bit too challenging for him to try and get that kill. Instead, I think Motivate, they've got to try and buy time so they can put their trust in Jackie to be able to kind of out-farm everyone else on the map, and that's exactly what he's kind of doing. Apart from Death on the Axe, though, who's now working towards what seems to be a Manta. He's going back for the Hood of Defiance, in fact. So he got a quick casual Yasha. Mid lane, Chuan going to catch out another target, this time Masteros, and the immediate dunker. This Mars just nowhere near being tanky.
No. He's really behind in farm. He's taking the back seat. He's trying to give space out to even Fearless on the Zeus, and it's becoming a bit of a farming black hole into the Dusa. They're just laying all their eggs in onto Jackie. You can see Fnatic. They have no downtime to wait for. They don't pop egg. They can
Set
keep
Zero.
and hunting.
They'll have to settle for the AA kill, but Chuan will happily take it. I mean, Chuan, he's on fire right now. John 6-0-6. Hasn't dropped a death yet, and is about 1.8k away from having the full Ags up. He'll have it by 20 minutes maximum.
Yeah, and it's scary when you get that early Ags up on Void Spirit. The silence is going to really ruin Motivate.Trust. They have no Dispels on hand, no BKBs. So, especially Fearless, if he's jumped, the Zeus is just double dead. He's been dying already. It's not going to get any easier for Fearless. He's trying to save up for his Ags as well, and is about 1,000 gold away. That is going to be a good spike, but it's still a long ways off.
Raven just pops the meta. Is Fearless really going to die to just Raven by himself? Oh, he is. I mean, DJ does help out in the end, but they still got the killers. Jackie now is going to try and find something out of this. Ice Blast, it's going to fly through, but it won't connect. And now Death, he's in. He got a double call out. There's your Sunray as well. Look at the damage output. Jabs, he does get rid of Masteros, and Death, he'll get the dunk out. As Jackie, he has to pop the Stone Gaze run, but Chuan, he cuts him off on the Void Spirit. They have got the Medusa under control. Death is there with the call. The egg to be dropped as well, and Jackie, his life looks to be forfeit. How clean do Fnatic look, John? Set Zero, he's not out of it yet either. Jabs, he's going to spawn him out. My goodness, the domination from this Radiant end. They just, it's surgical. This game isn't even close right now.
No, they're playing so clean. They know how strong they are right now. They know how weak Motivate.Trust is, and they're jumping again.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Masteros, he's going to push Death into the tier 2 tower, but Death is really tanky. He's not taking any damage at the moment. As Q, roll, going to be off the mark. Chuan jumps in with the Aether Remnant, catching up Masteros. They're still going to go for the chase now with the Magnetize, but do you have the damage? The Sunray's there. Sunder out from Raven as well. He does save the day for Death, gives him a free reset as Q. He has to back, but there is no backing. There is only Death.
It's just way too clean. Motivate.Trust needs to somehow slow this game down. They're dropping supports at this point, so it's not as bad just losing your Earth Spirit. You need to keep stalling out. You need to keep hoping that the Dusa can carry you through. It's hard to see that happening when your Dusa is still lagging behind the Terrorblade and the Axe. We haven't seen Jackie take a farm advantage at all since the early game. He's trying to save up for that Scotty, and Fnatic, they've got all the tools they need to play around. Again, very low downtime with the Phoenix Egg, and pretty much the longest cooldown they have is Metamorphosis. Even then, if Raven can't join fights, you can still fight as 4. Whereas for Motivate.Trust, they need to kind of execute as 4 every time, and even as 5 with these Stone Gaze, like, they just kind of lack control. They lack the damage coming through from just the Zeus Mars. And they need much more heroes to win out these fights. I think the one thing that Motivate.Trust has going for themselves is that once that Nimbus is up on Fearless, they can kind of de-shove waves. They can hold high ground for a long time with Zeus Medusa, and they have decent high ground team fight with the Arena. So I think that's kind of something that they're banking on towards the late game. If they can stall the objectives from falling here to Fnatic, Motivate.Trust can still try to get up and running with the Dusa. Dusa late game is still great. I just don't know if it's going to be enough to overcome the Terrorblade at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very tough. That's for sure. By the way, while we are in this pause, we may as well confirm, thanks to our lead admin Dougie, Boombill is playing. That is set 0. So this is set 0, this is Boombill, but it seems he's changed his name around. So there you go. For anyone wondering.
Yeah, like I did forget that. I remember
you were
seeing
close
Hoyo
enough.
play. And
You were close enough.
close
John,
enough by
don't
saying
worry.
it's familiar. That's all. Yeah, I'll take that window. Still, Motivate.Trust. It's looking rocky, right? Like it's all about stalling the game as long as possible. The side of Fnatic, they could take this top tier 2, they could take the outpost afterwards, go for Roshan, and go for more objectives. Nothing's stopping them from making those kinds of plays right now. And Motivate.Trust, I think they just have to accept that these outer towers aren't going to hold for long anymore.
Oh, I love this itemization as well from DJ John. He goes for the pipe. So now all this damage from Fearless is just not going to feel great. Like Fearless, Q on the Earth Spirit, even your AA, all that damage just seems to be kind of removed now with this pipe from DJ. Now, I do like the fact that we see a lot more teams buying these pipes, especially when it comes to the Pos 5 Enchantress, because she doesn't need anything to be effective. She could just buy these utility items to help out the team. As there is going to be a Thunder God's Wrath, and there was a smoke from Motivate.Trust, they do barely spot out Raven, but he's past the tier 2 tower, so it's just not safe to dive in. And in the end, Motivate, they're not going to be able to find anything with this 5-man smoke.
Yeah, they're forced to TP out. The side of Fnatic go with their own counter smoke, and they might catch something big here.
Oh, Jackie. Not Jackie. They jump in. There's your silence out. The call is there as well, but he's got help. Masaros is going to jump in with the arena. Ice Blast there as well. Jackie going to try and turn around with the Stone Gaze now. Maybe they can do it. Maybe he can fight back, or maybe not. The egg's down from Jabs. Can anyone burst it down? No, the call is there from Death. He will not allow it. He'll dunk on Jackie into Q now. They found the Earth Spirit. They'll get another. They've got no egg hitters. I mean, that's the least of their worries anyway, but they've got nobody to touch the egg.
They went all in on just having these early burst heroes with no real right click. It's all down to Jackie, and even then, if Jackie's caught out, he doesn't have a Mantha. He got hit by the Fire Spirit, couldn't really get anything done. Now the Roshan's gonna melt. Fnatic can just take it out, look for the tier 2 towers, start to think about high ground, and Motivate.Trust. It's getting dire here. 20-8, 10k lead. Masaros just kind of playing tag, has to bail out, and we haven't seen a successful arena in a while, outside of defensive arenas coming out from Masaros. The offense from Motivate.Trust, it's just not lining up, and that just leads to Fnatic being able to do what they want here. Like, BKB for Ravens, pretty much done. So even more of that spell immunity coming out, the burst damage you were going for with Zeus AA, even taking the pipe out of consideration, Raven's not going to care for the control as well. So he's just free to do what he wants in the Terrorblade, and again, your Dusa, your answer in Dusa is just not big enough. Like, it's still stuck on SNY, still waiting for the Scotty, 1k behind Terrorblade, and the Terrorblade's just much scarier.
I mean, it all kind of goes back. I keep bringing this up, but Chuan's just been such an influence on this team in this mid lane. And we'll roll in. Who have they found? It's going to be the Axe. They've got Death. He's a big target, and the Ice Blaster's there. Death, he does pop an illusion, or rather the Manta. It won't be enough, though. That's a big kill for Jackie. And that's what you need from Motivate. You need those single pickoffs to allow them to come back and close this net worth gap that is there. And now Jackie, he can start working towards that T1 mid tower, and he will get it. It's not much, but it's a start. In fact, that'll be another great target. If they do get it, and it looks like they've got him, roll in, just perma-stun him up, and that'll be another kill going to the way of Motivate. In fact, now Jabs, roll is there, off the mark, but Q might be able to slow him up with another roll out. He hasn't got the Icarus dive. So he's got no way out, and suddenly Motivate, they do get a 3 for nothing. And John, let's not forget, Motivate, we have called them the kings of comebacks many times. So you can never really count these guys out.
No, definitely not. And we did have conversations with Motivate.Trust before in interviews. They have pointed out that their early game's their weakest point. Right? Like, they just have really rough lanes. It looks really bad early on. But then they start taking these individual pickoffs, and they just build back up. The lead down to just 6k here for Fnatic from about 10k at its peak, 10, 11k. So you've got some room to breathe now on Motivate.Trust. And the high ground hasn't been breached by Fnatic. They still hold onto the Aegis for a bit longer here. So they've still got that safety net on Raven. But Jackie's starting to build up. And I think as long as Masaros catches the right heroes out with that single-man arena and spear, you just go that way. Just chain stun one hero who's overstepping. Fnatic need to be careful about splitting up. They will kind of start clumping out around the triangle area once more, get some forward wards, forward vision to prevent the farm from building up. They need to keep playing as a team. And that's where they're strong. Like, they can constantly fight as 4, fight as 5, because of how low their cooldowns are. And as long as Motivate.Trust isn't able to split them up, Fnatic can keep trying to control these wider engagements.
Yeah. So Fnatic, they're not gonna put their they're not gonna get their foot off the pedal yet. Gas is still going here, Fnatic. They'll get the bottom tier 1 now, Raven. Still farming really well, going to that Eye of Skadi. Looking very strong on this Terrorblade. Just keeps up the good work. Goes to that bot tier 2 tower now, and of course, Fnatic, they want to try and force a rotation back from Motivate.Trust if they can. Like Motivate, they might show themselves in that top lane, and if you're Fnatic, you might start forcing high ground. In fact, Raven, I think he wants to. He's got the meta up, he's got a BKB, he's got the Aegis. Why the hell not try, at least for the tower?
Yeah, it's not going to take too long to shove in. Now, there is still good creep clearing here coming out from Motivate.Trust, especially with Adusa, so you can't just fully commit with a creep wave. I think for Fnatic, they probably need a pick off to really get those objectives done, and they don't test it. They just pull back immediately, playing their cards safe. They still have a 9k lead. They've got room to grow on the Terrorblade, and they can still try to keep building up on the Axe as well in terms of durability. Motivate.Trust, they're allowed to kind of leave their base and, you know, keep farming. They are stalling out well with Zeus Dusa, and that Nimbus is going to do work. And they can get a 4-man, 3-man rotation out. Fearless can just drop his spells and still help out across the map. So we'll see if they can keep playing that catch out.
Oh, Chuan. Quick reactions out from Masaros. They spot him out with the Thunder God's Wrath, and now the Ice Blast. That'll be the second death now for Chuan and Motivate. Oh, looks like they've got him warmed up now. You've talked about this, Sean, but laning stage is over. They're finding those single pickoffs. In fact, they found another. Jabs. He'll get silenced up. He'll get stunned up by Masaros, and he just drops.
Yeah, I think it's down to how they're using Thunder God's Wrath. Like, that ability as a scouting tool is heavily underrated by a lot of people. Of course, not pro teams. But that gave them the information to spot out Chuan. That gave them the information to spot out Jabs. They open up the push down bot for Jackie. Creep Wave is still going to come up, but Fortify was already expended. So it should be an easy ride to a tier 2 for Motivate.Trust, and that gives them an outpost to capture back. A little bit more control on the map. They can keep Fnatic a bit scared as the gap keeps dropping down to 6k after jumping back up to 9k. Motivate.Trust are actually stalling out well. I think we're at the point in the game where the Medusa starts to feel a lot scarier despite being against the Terrorblade. Raven, he's still trying to get that farm, still number 1 in that word. Wondering how he itemizes after that BKB. He has multiple options. For now, he's holding off, but he could go for the Daedalus, he could go for the Butterfly, depending on what he needs. If it is the Butterfly, that could catch Jackie off guard if he doesn't go for an MKB. That is another way the Terrorblade can kind of have an edge up there. But for now, Motivate.Trust, I'm just happy to take that bot lane. Mid lane being shoved in by Fnatic. They will eventually find it once the creep wave joins up. Let's see if Motivate.Trust tries to go for a play from behind here.
Yeah. Classic Motivate, just coming from different areas and kind of distracting here with Jackie. We've seen this move before. They are going to get cut off though. Death, he gets a call off, and now the egg immediately dropped. They found 2 on set 0. He's gone. Masaros. He's going to get used up, but he's got nowhere to go but down. Another dunk out for Death. And apparently Fnatic's also seen that move out from Motivate before, John, because now they found Fearless. A triple kill out for Death. 9, 2, and 7 for our Axe, and they're onto the high ground. 2 heroes down without buyback. This should be at least 1 lane of barracks.
Yeah, it's the 2 big heroes they need for the high ground defense as well. They need the Zeus, leading the Mars with the Arena, the Thunder Gods, the Nimbus. without that, they can't clear out the waves, they can't cut off these heroes, and the towers just melt. The objectives are gone, mid-rack's gone, top gonna be shoved in next. There's enough time for them to just get 2 racks and bail.
Yeah. I mean, they might even stick around for a third, quite frankly, but I suppose without the meta, you don't want to risk it that far. Jump in, though. Chuan, he's going to have a bit of a risk. Reflection is there as well, though. Yule's up the Medusa. And eventually just leave him be. They won't go too far. They get the melee barracks, they'll leave the range alone. No need to risk their lives. That'll be enough. Fnatic back off and get a reset.
I mean, you're more than happy. You take the lead back to 12k. Motivate.Trust, they need to really protect their Zeus and their Mars. Like, you don't want to lose these big cores in the fights. You can afford to sacrifice your supports here. But you need that Nimbus, you need the Thunder Gods, you need the Arena. And that's how Motivate.Trust has been winning in some of these engagements. And that's how they have to play the high ground. So every single time Fnatic finds that kill on Fearless, finds that kill on Masaros, the high ground is very easy to take without any of those spells to threaten.
Masaros? Quite deep at the moment. He may get caught here if he's not too careful. Death, he's going to go for the core, but the Yule Scepter was a very quick reaction there from Masaros as now he BKB's up. Where's your team though, Masaros? Just going in by himself. Meanwhile, on the backside, DJ just going on to Z0 by himself. Z0, he's going to TP away, but the Aether Remnant Chuan, he catches him. No problem. 13k net worth lead is what Fnatic have right now.
Not the biggest kill. I don't think Motivate.Trust minds that as they save Masaros, but still a kill that it feels like they shouldn't be giving away like that. They do manage to stall out for a BKB here under Earth Spirit, but you also hit the BKB timing out for Chuan. MKB's up for Jackie as well, so he preempts the butterfly that could come out from Raven and also kind of handle the evasion coming out on the Enchantress with the disarm. But Raven's not even going for a butterfly. He's just going for Daedalus, kind of read the Deuce's build, and that means that Jackie, he could have gone for a Daedalus himself. He's going to be missing some damage here. The attack speed's nice, the proc damage is nice, doesn't measure up to a crit. And you can see Raven, even in melee form, hits quite hard. When he pops that Metamorphosis, gets a couple of crits in the fights with a full Daedalus, things start to get a bit scary for Motivate.Trust. And Fnatic, well, they've got the superior map control right now. Next Roshan is looking to be fairly soon. That is going to be Aegis Cheese and the Shard. And Fnatic's in a very good position to just wait for that next Rosh before the high ground.
Oh, certainly so. I mean, there's no rushing for Fnatic. They own the left side of the map, and that's exactly where you want to be for this Roshan. And Roshan's up in 5 seconds, so they've got the timing, they've got a nice enchanted creep and an Aether Remnant, just in case they need the double. Ice Blast is going to be there just in the nick of time from set 0, so you are going to figure out this Roshan's up, but can you get there in time? With this Axe Manta Shan's build up, they rip right through the Roshan, and now Raven's going to join in with this new Daedalus of his. And it's like, how do you keep up? How do you try and fight this? The answer is you don't. You let it go. Fnatic's got the Aegis. Death will take the cheese, and Jabs will take the shards. And now, if you're Fnatic, you're looking at that high ground again.
Yeah, you can just clean up. You did pop Metamorphosis, so you have to... Well, no, you actually didn't. So you pocket the meta, you can still go up. They're just going to run through mid and look for a kill.
Yeah, I mean, Jackie, he's running their side. Smoke broken. Chuan, he hesitated there. He didn't know whether they could take him down in time. I think the Medusa is probably the last target you expect to jump on first. Which is why Jackie positions himself in that way. Almost kind of baiting them in. Got Masaros in the tree line now, waiting for that perfect initiation. They've got to make sure Fearless stays protected on this Zeus. It's just so much of their burst damage in that Zeus, and now the arena is down, but quick reactions, Raven. He got the BKB out in time. He's going to back right off. Hey, the arena is down now, so Fnatic, they're going to look to go high ground again. Roll, Q, gonna hit the roll, kick is gonna be back, but Death is there, the call is out, they've got the silence onto Raven, but he'll still get the Sunder in time, and now Jackie, he's in big trouble, they can't save him, they've left him alone, Jackie, he is gonna drop. No buyback on Jackie, and now Jabs, he has a refresher orb up, he just picked it up from the fountain, that is the Dire Fountain, as they drop the egg, and everybody apparently wants a fountain time. GG's call, Motivate, they've seen enough. Game 1 will go the way of Fnatic in quite dominant fashion.
Fnatic.
They play spectacularly well, start to finish. Motivate.Trust, they open up with the Dusa early on. They didn't get the combinations they want with their Mars. Their lanes didn't work out well. The early rotations coming out from Fnatic just really shutting down Fearless, especially mid. He couldn't get that early start you expect on a Zeus. He couldn't really apply that impact that you'd expect him to with the damage. And they picked that Zeus specifically for the Terrorblade. Never really was an issue for Raven at any point. He wasn't threatened by that Zeus at all. So I'm curious to see how Motivate.Trust kind of adjust. Again, it looked like they were bouncing back in. They had a couple of good kills. They did manage to find the pickoffs they wanted to by the mid game. Just not enough when they were playing at the 10k deficit from very early on. So props to Fnatic. Very clean game. This is what we expect from a team going to TI. We'll see if they can keep it up in game 2.
Indeed, I can't wait to see how game 2 goes between these two teams. It's MLP on JohnXFire. We're going to be away for a 10-minute break, and right after that break, we'll be back with game 2's draft.